Okay, welcome back. We are in the middle of trying to get our camera to follow our character. We can see on the right hand side, here's the game of what it looks like through the camera. On the left hand side, this is our scene with our player, our little groundhog, and the camera frame around it. And as we play the game, we've got our player movement working, and as we hit the left and right hand sides, boom, the camera moves. But the camera moves really quick, and if you look at the game side, the player is bouncing back to the middle of the screen depending on how fast they're moving. This is really, really inconvenient and janky for us. So let's see if we can fix that. What I would like to do is add in some element of easing. I want to slowly get to where I'm supposed to go, not immediately jumping there, but like I know where I want to go, but I don't want to go there immediately. So let's make a public float called easing. Like, how much progress am I going to make every time getting towards my destination? It's sort of the Zeno's paradox. Well, I want to get halfway there, and then halfway there, and then halfway there. So let's try to make that work. Easing is going to come down here and say, well, I know where I want to go. I have this position. So instead of immediately going to it, let's do something called lerping. We're going to say our position is equal to a vector 3 lerp. Now lerp stands for linear interpolation. And it says if you give me 2 points and a percentage, then I will calculate that percentage point between them. So if I give it where I am now, of transform position, and where I want to go, the position that I discovered from my boundaries, and I say, well, I want to go halfway there. Then I would be always jumping halfway to that position, and then halfway, and then halfway, and then halfway. And eventually I'd get close enough that I am there. Well, what if I want it to be a little slower? I want to get 1/10 of the way there, or 100th of the way there. That's what the easing variable is going to be that the designer can set up inside what else is going on in the interface. So let's go back. We should find under the camera a new thing over here in our inspector, and we have the easing percentage. So let's do that and say 1%. Now 1% every frame is going to be pretty quick, so this is going to be nice and smooth. Let's watch what happens when we have our easing be 1%. We get to the edge, and it slowly, instead of jumping, slowly gets us to where we want to go. We haven't done the top yet, or the bottom yet. But you see over in the game, we have this boundary, and in our world, over here in the scene, we can see the camera is keeping us in bounds, never letting us get out. Now, if we slow this down, we make the easing even slower, like, okay, go a 1,000th of the way there. Then as we are moving, we don't want to get 0.001 here. As we're moving, we can get out of the frame of the camera and it will slowly catch us. So this is a little too slow for us, but if we go up to 10%, 0.1, 10% in there, then we still have that jumpy feel. So 0.01, 100th, is just about right for us for this kind of application. But we could imagine that if we're like, okay, we're here, but there's something else down there that I want to go see. What we could do is change the main camera's player. What am I watching? And if I'm watching something else, then all of a sudden it's going to be out of bounds. And it creates this new point that it lerps towards with its slow easing percentage. So it's going to start moving us. Let's see if we can do that quickly. Let's create in here just an empty game object. And I'm going to so it's created way down here. And what I want to do as I'm wandering around my game is move away from it. Oops. Where is that game object? The game object is here. On my main camera, you should be looking at the game object. We really want to do this in a script, but I'm trying to just demonstrate it for you of how that would work. Do you notice how the camera moved back slowly? If we want it to go even slower, we change the easing down here to make that work. Okay, it disappears because we were playing and adding things while the game was running. Don't forget, everything you do while the play arrow is blue disappears when you stop the game. You should be editing, designing while it is not being played. Unity tries to help you most of the time, but sometimes it just lets you play and do stuff when you don't expect it. Okay, so let's take care of the top and the bottom as well. This is going to just be very similar here. Private float upper bound. Private float. I'm going to call it the down bound. And we want to set them up instead of with pixel width. We want to set them up with pixel height. And so the down bound is equal to the boundary percent times the camera main dot pixel height, and the upper bound is equal to camera main pixel height minus the down bound. Okay, now in our if statements, we do something very similar to what we were doing with the x value. But now we're going to do it with the y value, and if the y value is too low, it's below the bottom of the screen, then I want the y value to be based on that and the sprite's y. Otherwise, if the y value is greater than the upper bound, then I want the y value to be based on the sprite's y value and that upper bound. Yes, I copy and pasted. That usually means I forget one small thing. I had to change lots of little letters in there. I think I got it right. Let's go check it out. Reloading, ready to go. Can I wander? And yes, I stay within bounds. Gotta test every boundary. The lower one, this is good. And because of how it's set up, if I decide on a different resolution, then I don't have to change anything in my code because it's talking about the camera and the different pieces of the camera. So everything is relative to whatever camera width and height are set up in Unity. Okay, that wraps this part up. Now next time I want to add background. I want to start adding things in that this groundhog is going to interact with. I need my pieces of the world. I need my walls. I need my ice. Those are going to come from a tile set and use the tile map pieces of Unity to do so. So that's our next video.